All right, hello and welcome into an abridged version of the Real G Warner going through the soccer slate for Matchday 3. Unfortunately, I've tried to record this a bunch of times and it doesn't seem to be working on any sort of device through Podbean, so we're going back to YouTube for today's episode. Or we're just doing multi-platform at the same time until something dies. Going to go through this quickly as I did this yesterday and seemed to lose everything. And there's also a ton of construction going on in my apartment, so this is going to be really enjoyable. It's Friday the 27th of August, going through the 5 top major leagues, each match as quickly as possible, and going to start in England, which starts on Saturday this week, as there's no Friday game for 2 weeks in a row at least. We'll start with Manchester City and Arsenal. So I would expect Man City to control possession in this match. Arsenal are off to a really poor start thanks to a lot of troubles with their young players and also their veterans who have been just unable to play due to COVID or other injury concerns. Arsenal currently getting a goal in 3/4 is a massive number that I think anybody from years and years ago would be very surprised, but we're in the present. And Man City are a much better side. I think the problem is that they don't look like a goal-scoring team. Similar problems they had last season. We know they're going to defend, and I think Arsenal will play a third straight match without scoring a goal. If they get one, they should cover the spread. But even if they don't, it's very possible that they still may. I'm not looking to back Arsenal here, though, I don't think. But that would be the way I'd lean. That's the early match on Saturday, moving then to the 10 a.m. window, where there's a lot of them. Brighton hosts Everton, currently Brighton -1/4. Everton got a similar number last weekend at Leeds, performed pretty well, I think, and had a couple leads, lost them, but ultimately got the draw to win a half a unit if you back them. Brighton are 2-0. I think with wins against at Burnley and at home against newly promoted Watford, I still don't believe in their offense whatsoever. They've been a favorite. They've covered both their matches so far. I don't think that streak continues here. Everton are going to play a defensive brand of football similar to what they did last year with Ancelotti, now even more so with a new manager who comes in and wants to play even more conservatively. I think that will allow Brighton possession, but Brighton didn't do much scoring with that possession last season, and I'm not really sure that they're that much better this year. They haven't really made a ton of signings or done anything that way. It's just Graham Potter and the English media loving him. So I'm looking at Everton right now, almost all the juice on their side, so if this falls to pick them, I probably skip. Norwich City then hosts Leicester, only getting a half of a goal, which seems like a very, very low number for the favorite to be relegated, who's lost both matches so far handily, though, against 2 of the top 3 contenders to win the Premier League. I'm not sure that Norwich are terrible, and I think the crowd support will be good. And Leicester certainly isn't off to a great start, but ultimately they got a fortunate win in the match day 1 at home against Wolves, and then got a tough red card and a bad back pass that really gave the match away at West Ham. They're on a bit of a shorter week here, though, as they played Monday Night Football, but it's too short for me to back Norwich, I think. Next is West Ham giving a full goal to Crystal Palace. I had higher expectations from Crystal Palace, and they've certainly not lived up to those just yet. Scoring looks like it's still an issue for them. I thought that Patrick Vieira might come in and add some offense to a pretty quiet side, but I'm not sure that he's done that. West Ham, we know, are going to defend with Moyes as the manager, and Mikel Antonio has been on fire, scoring a ton of goals. And I just don't feel comfortable with Crystal Palace hanging around with West Ham, even getting a full +1. Newcastle then pick them to Southampton. Currently, Newcastle with all the juice on their side might climb to a 1/4, and Southampton are coming off a really great performance last weekend that earned them a point against Manchester United after taking the lead on a bit of a freak goal. But credit them. St. Mary's, I guess, is still a tough place to play. That was a pretty shocking result, I think. Newcastle, plenty of questions about their defense and their offense. I think their offense is a little bit better than it was last year, but defense still seems to be a problem. They should have plenty of opportunities against the Southampton defense, though, to try to use the legs with Alison Maximin and Callum Wilson. I'm not sure if they're going to miss easy chances like they have so far this season, but we'll see. Ultimately, at Pick'em, not much for me to do there. Next on the list is Aston Villa hosting Brentford. Currently, Brentford getting a half of a goal with all the juice on their side. I'm pretty interested in Brentford. Off to a great start with a win at home in their opener against Arsenal, first match in the Premier League, and then a draw with Crystal Palace. I think Aston Villa likely has more possession here, but their offense has been really problematic without Jack Grealish, who has moved on. They got a pretty fortunate bicycle kick at the end of the first half to really swing things last weekend against Newcastle, and I'm not sure that they really can score enough goals to really cover or to sustain giving half of a goal to a side that's playing pretty well so far with their analytical strategies and things of that nature. Next, in the probably biggest match in Europe this weekend is Liverpool hosting Chelsea. Currently, Chelsea are a pick'em with all the juice on the Liverpool side right now at Anfield. I guess that makes sense. Some little home field advantage. Very interested in Chelsea if they move to an underdog catching a quarter, as I think they're my pick right now to win the Premier League. Great defense. Tuchel is clearly a great coach and has shown that they know who to buy with the Lukaku signing, who's been great, absolutely incredible, and is exactly what they needed. Of course, the calls come in. Next on the list, we move to Sunday. Our Burnley hosting Leeds. Currently, Burnley getting a quarter of a goal. Tough to say a lot of good things about Burnley right now, as their defensive mettle is seeming to be a little bit more stretched than it has been under Sean Dyche, and their offense isn't good enough to sustain anything based on their payroll being the lowest in the Premier League. Leeds are going to have a ton of possession. They're going to be able to push forward and try to score goals. Burnley are going to try to counterattack them, but they're really not that type of side. They live on set pieces and other things of that nature, or being physical. I'm not sure that I can back Burnley here getting a quarter of a goal on what likely sounds like they'll be on their back foot the whole time, and I need to score at least one goal, as I think Leeds will score. Other match at 9 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday in the U.S. is Tottenham hosting Watford. Currently, Tottenham giving a goal and a quarter with not much offense to speak of. But maybe Harry Kane is in the lineup for this one. If he starts, then that probably explains this line quite a bit, or maybe even jumps even higher. Watford were a team that struggled to score in the Championship, so that should be a problem also in the Premier League this year. Defense is really their calling card, and this is going to be a test. But Tottenham, I think, seem good for 1-0 wins at this point, which would cover the spread for Watford and get you half a unit. I'm just not sure that there's enough there that I want to play, hoping that they can really hold them to that 1-0 loss when they push forward to try to get a point. And last but not least, Wolves host Manchester United, currently getting 3/4 of a goal. All the juice on the Wolves side, so it might fall down to a half. Wolves, I think, improved defensively under Nuno after they really had no offense last season. They seem to still be doing the same type of thing this year, but their offense is really, really problematic, and I don't think they're going to shut out Manchester United. So at best right now, with 3/4 of a goal, you're looking at losing half a unit, and if it falls to a half, that's even worse. So that's 7 minutes going through pretty quickly. Going to try to do that for today's podcast episode anyway. Moving to Spain, Mallorca hosts Espanyol, battle of newly promoteds. Mallorca currently a pick'em with all the juice on their side. I'm interested in Espanyol if they climb to a quarter. Not a lot of offense from either of these two sides. Both came up from the Segunda División last season, and I think are decent and have played pretty competitively. I expect something similar like that in this match as well. Espanyol, I think, have had some good chances, haven't been able to finish them. Mallorca got a nice win last week, really because of a red card from Alaves, and that changed the match with about a half hour to go. Surely the crowd will make some sort of difference in this one, but I'm not sure that's enough to keep me away if Espanyol climb to a quarter. Nightcap on Friday is Valencia hosting Alaves. Currently Alaves getting half of a goal, and I'm very interested in Alaves. They are prone to getting red cards, which is really silly and puts them in a really big bind and almost got them relegated last season. Valencia, on the other side, have brought a new manager to play defense. They have had defensive issues, so they're certainly course correcting there, but I think they might be overcorrecting because their offense hasn't really done enough. And that's a problem for me, especially giving half of a goal where a draw wins a full unit, and all the juice on the Valencia side might even climb to 3/4 of a goal. Moving to Saturday, Celta de Vigo hosts Athletic Club Bilbao. Currently, Celta giving a quarter of a goal with all the juice on the Bilbao side, so it looks like this one might trend down to pick'em. Celta de Vigo are an offensive side that doesn't play much defense. Their offense has been problematic so far this season, and I'm not sure I see that changing against Athletic Club, who are pretty solid defensively. I think there's debate on whether their manager is really defensive or not, and there's no debate that Athletic Club have been missing some of their biggest talents, having Unai Simon out as like a rest from playing the Euros and the Olympics this summer. I think they've weathered the storm pretty well so far, getting a good draw that could have been a win against Barcelona, and ultimately as an underdog, I'd be interested in them here. Not there yet, or at least very juiced right now. So we'll see what happens with that number. Elche then hosts Sevilla. Sevilla is a half a goal favorite on the road with all the juice on their side, looking like it climbs to 3/4. Sevilla seemed like a similar team to last year, not going to give up a ton of goals, going to possess the ball, maybe get a goal, maybe late in the match. And that's unfortunately not enough for Elche to cover here. Even if this climbs to 3/4, you're still looking at half of a unit loss. And I'm not sure I'm interested in that, though. Elche fought really hard and will fight really hard. I'm just not sure they have enough offense that if they fall behind 1-0, it's very unlikely that they can even keep it there or equalize. Levante then visit Real Sociedad, also in that same 1:30 Eastern time window on Saturday. Sociedad currently giving a full goal with most of the juice on the Levante side, but that's a big number. Sociedad's defense is really calamitous, makes some big issues, have big problems at the back, and that hasn't changed. Levante defense is not great either, but they have a lot of attacking talent and guys that can put the ball in the net, as shown by evidenced by 3 goals against Real Madrid last week. They're missing their keeper due to a red card suspension, but I think they're still a great bet here, and ultimately +1 will be on my card, assuming the lineups look okay. Betis then host Real Madrid on the nightcap on Saturday. Betis currently getting 3/4 of goal with all the juice on their side. Seems a little short to me. Betis have really tried to fix their defense and have kind of sacrificed their offense, or at least their offense hasn't done much for a couple seasons now. Real Madrid looking older for sure, but they have a bunch of polished players that can score goals, and I'm not sure that Betis can keep up. I'm not sure where this number is going. If it falls down even further, I'm even less likely to back Betis, but I guess that's a side I'd like as an underdog player. Sunday, Barcelona currently 1.25 goal underdog. 1.25 goal favorites. Well, Barcelona's never an underdog. Barcelona 1.25 goal favorite to Getafe. Getafe with no offense to speak of, looking like a real relegation threat contender, if that's how you want to put it. Barcelona certainly not the same side without Messi, but still a great offense. Have some issues with PK missing at the back potentially, but Getafe are not an offense that can exploit that. Cadiz then hosts Osasuna. Currently Osasuna with pick them with all the juice on their side. If that climbs to 1/4, I'm very interested in Cadiz, because neither of these sides are great offenses. So really, whoever is underdogged here, I think is worth backing, especially the home team. Rayo Vallecano, then the worst team in the league by a long shot, it seems, hosting Granada. Currently Rayo pick them, but with most of the juice on their side. I'm interested in Granada. They're not the same offense they were. Have lost a bunch of players, but they're really a team based on depth, and they seem to have that with a little bit more of a defensive presence, I think, this season. And Rayo are 6th-place finisher that won the playoff in Segunda División last season. I'm not impressed with them so far, and especially as a favorite, I'll be looking to be against them. Atletico Madrid host Villarreal in the last match of Sunday. Atleti currently giving 3/4 of a goal, all the juice on the Villarreal side. So if this falls to a half, as an underdog player, I'm still not that interested in Villarreal, as I think they might get Pau Torres back for this match, but ultimately their offense hasn't looked great. Atleti should be able to shut them down pretty efficiently, and I think Villarreal are going to have some troubles this season. Okay, now moving to Italy as we are continuing to rip through this. Udinese currently a 3/4 goal favorite to Venezia, who were pretty competitive until red cards and then ended up capitulating late at Napoli last weekend. Udinese lost a bunch of players. They're a selling club, though, so they're used to it. I thought they looked better than probably I expected, and maybe anybody did. And I don't really love them laying 3/4 of a goal, but I'm not sure that Venezia are going to be a real competitive threat here in the league this season. Verona then getting a full goal at home from Inter, currently with all the juice on the Verona side. Inter lost a lot of bodies, but they are still pretty strong. Verona were going the opposite direction, did bring in some players, but I think have some scoring issues. So even getting +1 is probably not enough for me. Moving to Saturday, Atalanta hosting Bologna. Got a miraculous late-on victory. Kind of got outplayed at Torino, but win's a win. They host Bologna, who are not a good matchup, who are going to have to try to press high or play with a risk to score goals, and that's not how you want to play against Atalanta. Getting 1.5 goals is a big number, but I'm not sure it's enough for me, as they were +2 or so last season. Lazio then hosts Spezia. Currently Lazio giving 1.5 goals. Maurizio Sarri's offense killed the game. Didn't seem like that was in play. Lazio were pretty open last weekend. Maybe that was playing a newly promoted side. Spezia were not expected to remain in the league last season. Did so. Currently getting 1.5 goals is a big number. I'm just not sure that I really want to be against Lazio, because I feel like a bunch of the Italian sides are great. the bigger clubs at beating the bad teams and then just lose to the bigger ones. And I think Lazio is one that can do that type of thing. Spezia did have a good first half coming out of the gates last week, so we'll see what happens. And I guess that's the way I lean while I'm looking at it currently. Fiorentina then hosts Torino. Currently, Torino getting a quarter of a goal on the road. I'm interested in them based on how well they played last week, but their striker Belotti not starting and coming on late on to get an equalizer, but then ended up losing the match anyway. I'd like to see him starting, as I think he's important to their offense. Fiorentina played a lot more open than I expected. Goal scoring was an issue for him last season, and they brought in Nico Gonzalez, who looked pretty good, but a red card early from their goalkeeper kind of changed things in their match last weekend. I guess I lean to Torino getting a quarter. I'm not sure that's enough for me to jump in on right now, to say the least. Juve then hosting Empoli, currently 1 3/4 goal favorites. Had a pretty intense near win last week, but didn't work out. Empoli didn't really look at the races. Defense looked like a big problem. So getting a goal in 3/4 from the title favorites does not seem like enough for me at this point until I at least see some defense out of them. Moving to Sunday, Genoa hosted Napoli. Currently, Genoa getting a full goal. Napoli didn't look great, but turned it on late with a man advantage, including taking on a second penalty after Insigne missed the first one. Lovely construction. I'm sure this is great to hear as well. Genoa seemed to struggle beginning of season, then pulled together when they're in relegation trouble. I feel like that after watching that first half against Inter, I feel like that might be the same way it's going this time. Sassuolo then giving a half of a goal right now to Sampdoria. New manager of Sassuolo seems to be playing the same way, which is good for them. Sampdoria on the other side, not really sure what to think about them. Their defense has been kind of what's made them. Their offense has been problematic or non-existent. Currently getting a half of a goal with all the juice on their side. I guess I'm interested in Sampdoria, but it's pretty expensive on them right now. And then moving to the nightcaps on Sunday, AC Milan hosting Calorie. Currently, Milan giving a goal in a quarter. Cagliari were a pretty good fight towards the end of the last season and definitely were money makers for a lot of people while they're in a relegation fight. They're going to have some more trouble here with AC Milan, who have a much stronger team, spend a much bigger budget, all that sort of stuff. But I guess I do like Cagliari getting above a goal. Salernitana then catching a full goal from Roma. I thought Roma was pretty impressive last weekend. Jose Mourinho wasn't exactly pulling in the reins. Might have been good because they were playing against 10 men for like an hour plus. But Salernitana fought pretty hard, gave up a bunch of goals late to lose their first opening match. That was pretty disappointing, but we'll see what happens with them. I think I'm not sure I'm ready to back them, even getting a full goal at home with a home crowd. Moving to the Bundesliga. So Friday match, we have Borussia Dortmund hosting Hoffenheim. Currently, Hoffenheim getting a goal and a quarter on the road. Big number, but ultimately Hoffenheim are an offensive side that don't play great defense, and that's not what you want against Dortmund. Arminia Bielefeld on Saturday then hosts Eintracht Frankfurt, currently getting a quarter of a goal. And they're a defensive side right now. They don't have a lot of offense. Frankfurt, though, are not the same side they were under Adi Hütter and have lost a bunch of their scorers to Leipzig, back to Real Madrid after Jovic went back on the loan, when the loan ended, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the juice on Frankfurt. I'm interested in the Bielefeld side if it climbs a little bit higher. Even at a quarter right now I am, but I'm not sure that's enough for me. Augsburg then host Bayer Leverkusen, currently getting 3/4 of a goal. I'm interested in Augsburg. I think they're a talented team. What am I talking about? They're not a talented team. They're bad at defense. They're bad at offense. They're not good. Leverkusen, though, are overrated, I think, with this number. They don't deserve to lay this much, because I don't think they're very talented, at least not the offense they were under Peter Bosch, sold some players, et cetera, et cetera. Augsburg, though, are a bad team that are really hard to stomach. They somehow got a 0-0 last weekend, so they're probably going to give up 4 like they did in the opening week this week, so it's hard to back them. I've spent too much time on it already. I do like it based on not really liking Leverkusen, but that's about it. It's probably not enough to make a play. Mainz then hosts Greuther Fürth. Currently, Mainz giving 3/4 of a goal. Fürth, I'm not sure they're really a Bundesliga quality side at this point. Have to make some transfers in, strengthen their team, as they don't look like they're even close. But Mainz giving 3/4 of a goal is a massive number. Stuttgart then hosts Freiburg. Currently, Stuttgart, I think, are lost offensively. Zaza up front has been injured, came on as a substitute, maybe starts this weekend, but I'm not sure what to expect from him. Freiburg are going to be a tough side. They're going to be really physical, aggressive, and are going to push Stuttgart around, who are still pretty young and are missing a lot of their wing talents and other talents that they sold off as well. So currently Freiburg getting a quarter looks like something I want to look into deeper. Cologne then hosts Bochum. Currently Cologne giving half of a goal. Bochum looked pretty competitive in both of their matches so far, despite being down to 10 men for nearly the entire match. Like, I think third-minute red card against Volsberg, ended up surviving a penalty and then only losing 1-0, which I think deserves some respect. Cologne are playing a new brand. They're going to try to play offensive football as much as they can, which does worry me backing an underdog, as I generally like to be against sides that can't score. Bochum getting a half of a goal, though, still looks like a lot from what I expect from Cologne. Bayern München then in the late match on Saturday hosts Hertha Berlin, currently giving 2.25 goals. Hertha, I got a lot of questions about. They played great defense towards the end of last season. That hasn't really seemed to be the case so far, and surrendered another 1-0 lead and didn't cover the spread for a second straight week. You can take what you want from that, but Bayern are able to score a million goals, and unfortunately you're never safe no matter what the score is. 0-0 goalless halftime, and you're still in trouble second half to cover big spreads. Getting 2.25, though, I'm definitely considering Hertha and hoping that it's not going to make my card. Union then on Sunday hosts Mönchengladbach, currently pick them with all the juice on the Union side. A little bit surprising because they had to play midweek in the Conference League qualifying, but Gladbach sustained a ton of injuries at Leverkusen last week. I was hoping to get Union as an underdog or even at a pick 'em with some odds. It doesn't look like that's necessarily going to happen. And then to the nightcap on Sunday, Wolfsburg hosting Leipzig. Currently, Wolfsburg getting 1/4 goal with all the juice on the Leipzig side. Leipzig are a better side. Wolfsburg, I think I have big questions about. Their defense has always been solid. New manager, I'm not sure how that's going to change. Offense still doesn't seem to be there. Leipzig have some offensive problems, but ultimately I think their defense is better, and as shown by how well they did last season in terms of not allowing goals. But also they brought in some offensive players, which is really what they needed. If Szoboszlai is going to be able to contribute goals like he has or did last week, then they might be a lot tougher than I think a lot of people expected. But ultimately, going to that match last week, I was still questioning their offense, so we'll see what happens. I'm just not sure that Wolfsburg are playing well enough after a really poor preseason and haven't looked great to start the year. Kind of got a miracle win against Hertha last weekend. I'm not sure that's enough for me to want to back them as a slight underdog after looking like they're getting controlled by Leipzig last year. And last but not least, going to France for Ligue 1. We have a Friday match, Nantes hosting Lyon. Currently, Lyon giving half of a goal with all the juice on their side. As that climbs higher and higher, I'm more interested, though I do have questions about Nantes scoring. Lyon seem to have big problems, lots of expectations. Manager doesn't seem to be taking. Peter Bosz, the aforementioned, loves his offense, but their defense has been a big problem, and they always have some personnel issues due to players not wanting to be there that sign there but want to go bigger, and then they can't seem to move them quickly enough. Moving to Saturday, we have Nice hosting Bordeaux. Currently, Bordeaux getting 3/4 of the goal. All the juice on the Nice side, so this looks like it might climb to a full goal. Bordeaux's got a lot of financial issues, and I don't really want to be against Gaultier right now, especially not getting at least a full goal of insurance. Nice look good, and I feel like they're a team that's on the up. Trending upwards. Marseille then host Etienne in the nightcap on Saturday. Marseille giving 3/4 of a goal. Saint Etienne have been a lot better, I think, ever since they were in the relegation spat last season. Have played pretty well. Marseille want to score a ton of goals, but will give up a ton as well. So that makes point spreads a little bit less important, unfortunately. Currently getting 3/4 of the goal, a single goal loss. You only lose half a bet. And I think Saint Etienne are a good value here to potentially push Marseille and potentially even win the match. As I don't think the Marseille defense is anything to write home about. Moving to Sunday, Troyes hosting Monaco, currently getting half of a goal. Monaco had to play midweek, extra time in Ukraine, lost, got eliminated. They had a tough start to the season so far, playing 2 matches a week. Troyes have been pretty, I think, consistent defensively. Only getting a half of a goal is in a lot of room, but ultimately a home draw was something that I think seems like a reasonable possibility against a team that's really struggled to score like Monaco has. They put a lot into the first half at Shakhtar Donetsk, and then I wonder if their legs ran out. Tough position for them now facing Europa League, and that's going to certainly change their season trajectory. Strasbourg currently giving half of a goal to Brest. I'm interested in Brett's getting half of a goal with all the juice on their side. Strasbourg have been pretty disappointing so far. I think they brought in some scorings, but it hasn't really done much. Their defense has gone completely the opposite way, as they were really tight defensively last season. That has not happened so far. Brest are going to play good defensive football, and I think they can challenge Strasbourg. I don't really know if I'm as interested if this falls to a quarter where it looks like it's heading, but currently at the half, I'm interested. Angers then hosts Rennes, currently pick 'em with all the juice on the Rennes side. Angers are the surprise so far in the Ligue 1, I believe, besides Clermont Foot, who we'll get to shortly. Rennes having to win on the road is asking a fair amount, as I don't think they're that consistent or that strong, and I think had to play midweek in Conference League qualifying. Angers, if they get a quarter, might make my card. Previously mentioned Clermont Foot, currently giving half of a goal with all the juice on their side to Metz. I like Metz. They're routinely undervalued in point spreads. Took a lead, but weren't able to hold on last week against Reims, which I think was fairly impressive, as I like Reims so far this season. Clermont Foot off to a great start, miraculous draw from 3-1 down last weekend. I think giving a half of a goal to a side that have played in Liga and stuck around and performed pretty well last season is too much. Clermont Foot's going to play offensive football, which is exactly what Metz is going to play. Unless there's some big absences for Metz, this line doesn't make a lot of sense to me, and they'll probably be on my card as they were a lot last season. Lens then host Lorient. Currently, Lens giving half of a goal with all the juice on their side. Looks like that's climbed to 3/4. Lens have been playing really well, and I'm pretty impressed with who they are and what they've been. Lorient fought relegation last season. Seem to be in a completely different spot than both these clubs that were recently promoted, I think 2 seasons ago. Lille then hosts Montpellier. Lille giving 3/4 of goal is a massive number based on how they've been playing. Montpellier with some transfer activity. I think Delors is gone, if I'm not mistaken, but currently getting 3/4 of goal with an offense that can score goals. I'm not as worried about that. I think their defense is a problem, but Lille haven't been very good defensively either. I feel like losing Gaultier and potentially their center backs getting older has been a big problem. We'll see what happens, but ultimately I'm interested in the Montpellier side getting 3/4. Last but not least, Reims hosting PSG, getting 2.25 goals at home. Not sure what the lineup's going to look like and what these Mbappe rumors are, where Messi's going to be if he's playing in this match. Reims, I think, are a competitive side in Ligue 1 and can push or at least make PSG work really hard. The problem is that they can win by 3 in any match because they're so strong. I'm interested in Reims getting 2.25. All the juice in their side right now. Might push it down to 2, but I doubt that'll happen based on all the PSG money that I'm sure will flow in. So that's the 5 major leagues in a brief, abbreviated fashion, because I've already recorded this podcast like 3 times, I feel like. I am the real_G Warner. Thanks for joining. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or on Podbean, wherever you want to. I'd love to answer some questions if you got any. Thanks a lot. Have a great day, and we'll see you in the next one of these.